The universe was vast, teeming with civilizations far older and more advanced than humanity could ever imagine. From planets scattered across distant star systems came life forms that embodied the pinnacle of evolution in their own right. Some were deadly in ways that could only be described as primal, others technological marvels with vast fleets and superior weaponry. But there was one classification of worlds that stood above them all, the Deathworlds. Planets where the natural environment itself, with its extreme conditions and horrific life forms, could kill you in an instant. It was said that these worlds produced the strongest, most lethal creatures, those that had evolved to withstand and thrive in conditions so dangerous that only the fittest could survive. Life on these planets was not just about survival, it was about dominance, and only the strongest could claim that dominance. The creatures that lived on these worlds were feared throughout the galaxy. The most skilled hunters from across the cosmos came to these planets in search of the ultimate challenge, knowing that no one could truly claim they were the best until they had survived the hunt on a death world. And there was no greater honor than to take down the fiercest, most dangerous beings in the universe. To be a Deathworlder, to survive such a planet, was to carry the mantle of a warrior of unmatched strength. But while the galaxy was filled with deadly species, there was one species, one Deathworlder that caught the attention of hunters everywhere: humanity. The Exithari, a race of towering, powerful predators from the planet Velrath, were known across the galaxy as the ultimate hunters. Their physique was formidable, muscular, and built for combat, yet they were also incredibly intelligent, masters of strategy and tactics. They were the pride of their species, with hunting and battle being at the core of their culture. The Exithari's reputation as apex predators was unrivaled. For centuries, they had dominated the galaxy's hunting grounds, taking down creatures so powerful that most species would never dare challenge them. Whether it was massive insectoid creatures, terrifying reptilian beasts, or armored monstrosities, the Exithari had faced and defeated them all, and no one had ever come close to besting them in the hunt. When the Exithari first learned of Earth, they thought little of it. Earth was a young world, newly discovered, and its inhabitants were a primitive species compared to the more advanced civilizations they had encountered. The humans, with their relatively primitive technology, were no threat. Or so they thought. But as they studied Earth more closely, something piqued their interest. The rumors that began circulating among the galaxy's networks of hunters spoke of Earth as a place unlike any other, a world where the life forms had evolved with a remarkable resilience, a world where the natural environment itself was a battleground, and most of all, a world where humanity had carved out its place despite the overwhelming dangers. To the Exithari, this was an opportunity to hunt the greatest prey of all, a species that had survived on a planet brimming with death. But what caught their attention was not just Earth's dangerous wildlife, it was humanity's adaptability. The humans didn't just survive, they adapted. They created tools, weapons, and methods of warfare that allowed them to overcome their planet's terrifying challenges. Humans were resourceful, cunning, and relentless. They had created empires, learned to harness fire and technology, and even conquered the skies and the stars themselves. The Exithari, always on the lookout for the most dangerous of prey, decided to pay a visit to Earth, not just as tourists or explorers, but as hunters. They set out to observe and track humanity. They had no idea what they were walking into. When they arrived, they initially found the planet to be much like other Deathworlds they had visited. It was a chaotic place, filled with storms, earthquakes, wildfires, and all manner of life forms that could kill in seconds. The Exithari immediately began their observation, scanning the surface, analyzing the dangers. They were accustomed to planets with similar threats, so they believed they had the situation under control. But what they discovered about humanity stunned them. Earth, they learned, was a world of extremes. The planet was home to vast forests, oceans, deserts, mountains, and tundras, each teeming with life that had evolved to survive in incredibly hostile environments. But unlike other death worlds, where the creatures had evolved to be terrifyingly effective at killing, humanity had mastered a different form of survival. They had created societies, cultures, and technologies that allowed them to overcome even the deadliest creatures. They fought not just for food, but for dominance. They used intelligence, teamwork, and innovation to survive. And sometimes they even fought each other not for survival, but for power. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their physical strength, but their mind. And they had learned to bend the world to their will. The Exithari hunters were intrigued by this. They had come seeking to test their skills against Earth's creatures, but it became clear to them that the greatest challenge would be the humans themselves. Unlike other predators who might run or flee when threatened, humans fought back. And not just in a primal way, they fought with strategy, with thought, and with a ruthless efficiency that spoke of an intelligence that most species simply could not comprehend. The Exithari's curiosity soon turned into obsession. They watched as humans hunted their own dangerous creatures, using traps, weapons, and even tactics that allowed them to overcome predators far stronger than themselves. The humans didn't just use brute strength or speed. They used coordination, creativity, and innovation. They had mastered the art of using their environment to their advantage, setting ambushes, creating diversions, and even fighting as a team when necessary. The hunters began to realize that what they had assumed to be prey, the humans, might very well be the ones doing the hunting, at least in some ways. The Exithari hunters, growing eager to face the humans themselves, decided to set a trap. They selected a lone individual from a small settlement in the wilderness and prepared to confront them. They didn't anticipate what would happen next. When the human finally entered the clearing where they lay in wait, something truly shocking occurred. Rather than running, as most prey would, the human turned, smiling, and without hesitation, dropped their weapon. The Exithari hunters were caught off guard. This human, knowing full well they were surrounded by one of the deadliest predators in the galaxy, did not flinch or retreat. Instead, the human walked slowly toward them, with an air of calm amusement in their eyes. The Exithari, confused and unsure, could not fathom what they were seeing. They were accustomed to their prey cowering in fear, begging for mercy. But the human did none of that. The human did not scream, did not flee, did not show the slightest hint of fear. Instead, the human picked up a simple branch from the ground, twirling it in their hands as if it were a tool, or better yet, a weapon. The Exithari could not understand it. How could this be? Their prey, this fragile, small, insignificant creature, was playing with them. In that moment, the Exithari realized they were no longer the apex predators. The human was not just surviving the hunt, they were turning it into a game. The human was playing with them as if the entire encounter was nothing more than a training exercise or an amusing diversion. This prey was intelligent, fearless, and utterly unpredictable. And the Exithari had no idea how to react. For the next several hours, the Exithari were forced to endure the humiliation of being toyed with. The human expertly outwitted them, using their environment and the most mundane of objects to create traps and distractions that confounded even the most seasoned hunters. At one point, The human fashioned a simple trap from vines and rocks, ensnaring one of the Exitharari in a net that they had no idea was coming. The human laughed softly as they pulled away, the predator helpless in the face of their ingenuity. The Exitharari, masters of the hunt, found themselves outmaneuvered, outwitted, and humiliated. The human was not hunting them in the traditional sense. The human was turning the hunt into a mockery. What the Exitharari had expected to be an easy conquest had turned into an unimaginable nightmare. They were not the ones in control. The human was. And the Exitharari hunters, for the first time in their lives, realized they were no longer the predators, they were the prey. It did not take long for the Exitharari to make a decision. They left Earth, disgraced, confused, and deeply shaken by what they had experienced. They retreated to their ships and departed, leaving the planet behind. They had come seeking the ultimate challenge and had found themselves bested by a creature they had never truly understood. The galaxy would never know the full extent of what had transpired on Earth. The Exitharari hunters would not speak of their failure, and they would never again consider humanity a worthy challenge. They had been hunted, played with, and outsmarted by a species they had once considered beneath them. It was not just the raw strength of Earth's predators that had defeated them. It was the cleverness, the adaptability, and the sheer audacity of the humans themselves. And so, Earth remained, largely unknown and unchallenged. The galaxy would continue its endless cycle of conflict and conquest, but in the shadows, the stories of what had happened on Earth began to spread. The Deathworlders were no longer just a species to be feared. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species whose greatest weapon was not their physical prowess, but their ability to turn the hunt itself into something far more terrifying, a game.